Hello and welcome to our webinar today, Pop the Hood, Jumpstart Your Parts Marketing. We are so excited to have you here today as we take a deep dive into digital marketing for your parts department. And before we get started, I do want to do a little intro. So my name is Mel Smith. I am Revolution Parts' Senior Customer Marketing Specialist and your official MC for today's presentation. Joining me as our marketing experts are Mike Rich, our VP of Marketing, and Josh Rogers, our Director of Marketing Agency. And before we get started, I do want to go over just a few quick housekeeping items. Today's presentation will last around 60 minutes. We will have 45 minutes for presentation and about 15 minutes for a live Q&A at the end of the session. Speaking of Q&A, if you do have a question at any time during today's session, please go ahead and drop that using the GoToWebinar question tool. Those will come over to me and I will feed those over to our hosts to answer at the end of the session. We are recording today's presentation and we will send the recording and the entire slide deck to everyone by email before the week's end. And as you can see, we do have a jam-packed agenda today. We will provide a marketing overview, help you understand the parts or the essential components of a successful parts marketing strategy. We will give you some tools and takeaways to bring home with you and get started with today. And then we will move right into that Q&A at the end of the session. And before we get started, I do have one quick poll I'm going to launch. We would love to understand sort of how you are handling marketing in your business today so that we can kind of tailor and tweak today's presentation to best fit our audience. So if you market just new and used car sales, go ahead and select option 1. If you are kind of marketing everything in the business, you can select option 2. There's also an I'm not sure option 2 if you don't know. And we'll give just a minute or so for those answers to trickle in. And it looks like, Mike and Josh, we've got a pretty even split today. We've got a good amount that are marketing every aspect of the business and a good amount that are not marketing the parts portion of the business as it stands today. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. And then with that, I will bump it over to Mike and we will get started with our marketing overview. Take it away, Mike.
Guess I was talking on mute there, so I'll start all over again. So no, marketing is really important for any business in general. If you're starting a new business, marketing is the way that you get your business in front of your potential audience. And that's the case also with parts. Many dealers that we work with, when they're starting a parts marketing business or parts business, e-commerce is really kind of a new business unit to their parts department. Dealers are used to selling parts either wholesale, getting parts to their service lane, or maybe serving like the local DIY buyer. But expanding your brand nationally, you're really creating a new brand. So it's really important to start marketing this new parts brand. You need to be able to get word out, build brand awareness. You need to be able to drive traffic to your site to drive revenue. You want to increase your reach so you can capture customers where they're shopping. And then you want to build relationships and provide an outstanding purchase experience so those guys that are buying parts from you become repeat visitors and repeat purchasers. So marketing really plays a hand in doing all of that for you. If you look at some of the stats Mel has across the bottom, so 69% of e-commerce traffic comes from organic searches. Another really important thing to consider is parts purchasing in general. If you look at someone who buys a part, typically 80+% of those people are going to start the research online. before they make the actual purchase. So it's really important as you as a dealer selling parts to have an online presence so you can be there when the customer first starts that buying journey and ultimately hopefully buys that part from you. Josh, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, on this section, of course, like Mike mentioned, really just getting awareness of the brand out there and getting it started early is the most important part. And then just really building up that relationship of return buyers. And I know we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, just getting the name out there and getting it started is the most important thing.
Awesome. So next we want to talk about, this kind of leads into the poll question Mel put out there. So automotive marketing or service lane marketing versus parts marketing. They're really two different animals and two different types of marketing. When you look at new car, used car marketing or service lane marketing, it's really more of like your traditional lead gen marketing. And what that means is really the outcome that you're trying to get from the end consumer is to complete a form or to, book a service time on your website. So it's really going out and it's a lot more, looking at impressions and click-through rate and then trying to improve the conversion rates of your forms that are on your website. And then after you get that data in and you get someone to take that action, then it can be complicated for a lot of people, with their marketing systems to effectively be able to track those forms and like what turned into sales and like what marketing touch, directly attributed to the purchase. Where e-commerce marketing or parts marketing is much different. I'll let Josh talk a little bit about e-commerce and parts marketing and how it is different.
Yeah, so the biggest thing with e-commerce marketing versus lead gen is one, we can measure the results instantly. Basically having that ability to know exactly how much you're spending versus how much you're getting in return, whereas lead gen, you're more just kind of sourcing those initial leads and it's not completing. Whereas e-commerce, we are focused on really growing an effective kind of e-commerce checkout process where we want to get as many people as possible that are interested in buying parts to make sure they're finding the parts they're looking for, and then that way they can kind of complete their journey on your store.
What's great about e-commerce marketing too is typically all the data is contained within your Google Analytics and your Google Ads account, so you can see directly what you're spending, what campaigns you're spending on, and then how much revenue those campaigns are generating. So it's all contained with a single platform. Or sometime with lead gen, you'll start the journey in a single platform, and then it will come into another platform, and then maybe to a third platform, and you got to kind of piece that journey together across those three platforms to find the impact of the marketing. And real quick, so in-house marketing versus third-party agency. So the point of this slide is really kind of to talk about like doing it yourself from a marketing perspective versus having someone else do it for you. So the benefits of doing marketing yourself, there's a few. One is you have full control over the marketing program. You're deciding, what ads to build, what the creative looks like, what keywords you're going to target. You can, adjust your spend up and down as you see fit. You also, as an in-house, automotive dealer marketer, like we talked about in the previous slide, there's two types of marketing at the highest level. There's the lead gen marketing and there's the e-commerce marketing. So a lot of dealers today have lead gen marketing capabilities in-house, but they don't necessarily have that e-commerce. So to build an e-commerce function in-house, you need to bring in some additional experience and expertise, to decide and like set up the metrics for your e-commerce channels and what those look like, because they're not going to be the same metrics you're tracking for your lead gen channels. So you can build all that expertise out in-house. It just, involves bringing people in or cross-training people to wear many hats. Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about third-party parts marketing and how that works?
Yeah, so with third-party marketing, the first thing really you want to look for in a third party is one, have they done OEM parts before? Have they run Google Shopping ads? If that's not in their wheelhouse, it's going to be a new experience to them. So kind of what the difference is between in-house is they're going to have to learn the same lessons that the third-party marketing company has already learned over many years. Um, and kind of during that extra time, that's where that additional cost to get the same results, that's where the difference is going to be. So really with the third party, you already have that knowledge. So when we start off, we can kind of hit goals that we set within 90 days. With another company, it may take kind of 6 months or more. And there's a lot of small tweaks. They can be brand specific, they are part specific. Basically, kind of relying on that expertise is where we know, like, hey, BMW owners between 18 and 24 years old, let's make sure we bid them down because they don't convert as much. Small, like little things like that is something that third party agency is going to know, whereas another agency is going to take time to learn that. So you really want somebody that's done it before, has proven results, and then just kind of really focus more on what your end goal is rather than the small details about what we need to target.
And that's a great call out, Josh, like having someone that's done this before. So you can find a third party marketing agency that hasn't marketed OEM parts, and they're going to have to make the same, like take the same lumps that your in-house marketing team is going to have to take when learning how to market parts and, what keywords to bid on, how to bid, who to target, when to target, where to target. So it's really important if you do stand up marketing for parts and go with an agency, to find someone that has that experience and can get you, rocking as quickly as possible and minimize your losses. I think one of the main reasons we see people try to go in-house is because they just have, like I said, they have a lead gen marketing engine in-house and they want to translate it to parts marketing. And I think a lot of people look at it as a cost savings because you already have that, you're paying for it. But at the end of the day, it's a different type of marketing. And if you don't have that e-commerce experience in-house, you're going to spend significantly more money trying to either hire or learn, what works and what doesn't work from an e-commerce perspective versus just starting with, either an agency or hiring someone, that maybe has OEM parts marketing experience who can start much faster.
And with that, we will go ahead and bump into our next section, which is just what are the elements of a successful parts marketing strategy. And we'll start with digital retailing.
Cool, I'll kick one off. So digital retailing is one of my favorite topics, I'd say, when it comes to parts marketing. A lot of people think about, selling parts online, and one of the common, fallacies we hear is, it's a race to the bottom. People are just looking for the least expensive part. And while it's true, consumers do want you to be price competitive. Price is not the only deciding factor when it comes to people buying parts online. So digital retailing is really a big piece of, how you sell or how effectively you can price and leverage your pricing online. So what I mean by digital retailing is, really the presentation of your parts online. So when you're selling parts, a lot of times the OEM catalog can be lacking in terms of in terms of like the description or potentially images. So we find like if you do a great job of taking really good pictures of the parts that you have, historically the ones that are high sellers, are better to start with. You're going to be able to see a much higher conversion rate, and you can potentially even price them a little bit higher because they look better. The consumer's more likely to buy. It feels more trustworthy because it has better, higher quality images. Also, like I mentioned, the description, like it's very important. Like when you look at the descriptions of the parts you're selling online, like are they consumer friendly descriptions? Like can the average, DIY mechanic or the guy who's trying to repair his own car, can he look at that part and see, understand what it is and is it what he needs? Another great thing you can do with digital retailing is making suggestions or kitting or bundling. So taking maybe popular parts like a bumper cover, for example, and grabbing all the pieces that are needed to install that bumper, like any push pins, things of that nature, and creating a kit, which gives the consumer all the products they need to do that job, and then also allows you to bake a little bit more margin into the part. And it's really, with digital retailing, it's what you put into it is what you get out of it. A lot of people we work with from on our agency marketing side, are really invested in the digital retailing, and take the time and invest in images, invest in kitting, invest in updating descriptions. We do a lot of the descriptions for people as well, because we know what descriptions, tags, naming conventions consumers are looking for. But it's really what you put in it is what you get out of it. Josh, anything you want to add around digital retailing?
I think with digital retailing, the only thing to kind of focus on too is just really kind of building that brand and buyer trust as people experience your store. One of the goals with any new marketing client is, of course, to get that Google seller rating. Just because if I'm buying from a brand new website, I want to know I can trust it. So as Mike mentioned, like adding those custom images and changing descriptions, kind of maybe in comparison to others, makes you unique, and then also makes you more trustworthy. And that's where buyers want to rather purchase with you, even if the price is a little bit higher. Typically, stores with ratings can actually get away with slightly a little bit more margin on the pricing because they are a trusted store. Cool. And I'll jump into it with digital advertising with pay-per-click. So really the start of any marketing program, and the fastest start, is going to be with paid marketing. We are focused on very what we call bottom of the funnel buyers. They are actively searching for parts or a parts site to shop. So to basically to start driving immediate traffic and sales to your store, you'll want to begin a paid campaign. The primary channels that we use is going to be a mix of search and shopping ads. So to give you an idea, search, those are keywords kind of broad, like Toyota parts, for examples. And then we can kind of give that broad traffic where somebody's looking for a site, and then once they find a site, then they'll search for the part they're looking for. Google Shopping is very specific, where it could be the full make, name, model, part number, part name, any mix in between. That's what we rely on shopping. And depending on what pricing strategy you have, that's kind of where we mix and match these channels. So if you're priced more competitively, you may end up focusing more on shopping because the price is showing on the ad. For search, it is basic text. There is no price. So you're just kind of more just getting generic traffic to the site and see if they find what they're looking for. And these strategies change over time, and it's always unique to the dealer too, where if you heavily invest in custom images, your shopping ads are probably going to outperform your search ads. And so either of these can evolve over time. Metrics to note on basically what success you're seeing, and the most important one in our mind is, of course, what's your return on ad spend. Our average that we see is usually a 10x return. So for every dollar that we spend, we're seeing $10 in parts revenue back. For conversion rates, an average e-commerce conversion rate is 2%. So when you're looking at your own analytics, that's kind of gold you want to leave in the back of your mind. If you're below 1%, that typically means like maybe the total checkout price might not be competitive, or there needs to be a change in strategy, or maybe they don't think the site's trustworthy enough yet. That can improve over time. And of course, cost per acquisition, making sure that for every sale that we're getting, we want to make sure we're averaging $23. And that can change your strategy too. Like if our average cost per acquisition is $20, let's make sure we don't advertise parts below $20. Simple things like that are kind of part of having that expert agency. You already kind of know those starting points, so we don't see that mistake. And Mike, anything you want to add on the pay-per-click side?
No, I think you did a really good job covering it. Yeah, the metrics are important to follow. I think one of the keys to success on the pay-per-click side is really, making a commitment to like a minimum investment. So one of the things about paid ads is a lot of it is based on algorithms. So Google takes the data that your web store pulls in from people clicking on your ads, landing on your pages, how they navigate your pages, how they convert. And you really need to get a significant amount of data to really start to optimize your account effectively on your paid ads. So typically, we see like $1,500 is probably the minimum, $1,000, $1,500 per brand that you have as a dealer, to be able to get that significant volume of data into the Google bots, so to say, so you can start to do a lot more of those optimizations and help increase that return. That's all I got.
I'm just bumping us right along.
Yep, we're flying through this stuff. So SEO, do you want to take this, Josh, or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start it off. So basically, SEO, the organic results we talked about earlier, that's just kind of organic traffic that you want to grow over time. And of course, Google's going to rank you based against competitors on what's better. So kind of the main key takeaway with really SEO is making sure that you have unique content on your site that stands out from others. So that's a lot of our focus. Some of the kind of easy things that you can do that we've mentioned is like, of course, taking custom photos. So that way you're the one person with a photo and everybody else has the diagram. And then, of course, basically just making sure that you're representing the brand and what people are looking for. So if I have a Toyota site, I want to make sure I mention that we are selling Toyota parts on that site and in different places. And we can use other ways to then kind of get into more specifics. But that's kind of the main starting point, is really just making sure that what keywords we have on the site are relevant to what our e-commerce buyers are looking for. Mike?
Yeah, I think that covers it pretty well, Josh. I mean, when you get an OEM parts catalog from your manufacturer and start to sell that catalog online, everyone really starts with the same basis of data. So it is important, to get in and to look at the data and to, make changes to make yourself unique so you stand out from the market. There's other opportunities in SEO too, like you can link from your dealer sites, you can link from other sites. You can just start building a backlink profile, to get more SEO traffic. But it's just an investment. Like, you always have to realize SEO is a long-term investment. So where paid ads, is kind of immediate gratification, where you're able to run ads, get people to your website pretty quickly and start to see the results. SEO is a long-term. So the changes you make today, typically you don't see the impact of those changes for 3 to 6 plus months. So it's long-term kind of growth of your business. So you should always be doing both in tandem. We usually recommend you come out, and start with paid ads, and that's like the fuel on the fire to get it burning hot. And at the same time, you're kind of doing the SEO on the side, and over time that SEO is going to grow. And you're going to have just as much from SEO as you're getting from paid ads. And the two in tandem are going to create a really, hub and parts business for you. Email marketing, I'll take this one. So email marketing is also a really big component of your parts marketing strategy. Really in a couple ways. So first, I'll start with abandoned cart emails. I'm going to take these out of order. So when people come to your web store, Josh mentioned a good conversion rate is 2%. So that means 98% of people are not converting. Another number you can look at is like an add to cart rate. So a good add to cart rate could be, say, like 10%, 15% or so. So that means, like, of the, say, 100 people that visit your website, 10 to 15 are adding something to cart, and ultimately 2 are making the purchase. So the 13 that didn't buy anything, it's really important to get back in front of them and re-engage with them and try to get them to come back to your site to make that purchase. So that's where abandoned cart emails come in. So you want to set up an automated cadence when someone abandons the purchase and send them an email follow-up, say, hey, this is still in your cart, come back, purchase this. You can do a multi-step cadence as well, where you could potentially offer some sort of incentive on email 3 to get them to come back. But it's really just a best practice in e-commerce overall, not just parts marketing, to set up those abandoned cart emails. The other email strategy that's really important for a dealer or anyone selling on anything online is really just promotional emails. So really what that is having some sort of a monthly email that goes out And by promotional, I don't mean like it's a coupon every month or it's, giving away the farm every month. It's really just a reminder to the consumer that you're there so that you stay top of mind to that consumer. So whenever something does come up or they're ready or they need to purchase a part, they kind of have your name ingrained in their head and they come back to you to purchase that part. You can also do promotional campaigns. We do recommend straight promotional campaigns around things like Black Friday / Cyber Week, for example. It's one of the biggest selling weeks of parts of the year. So if you can run promos around that time, around tax time's also a really good time to run promos. So it's a good way to move, additional revenue to the dealership from your existing customers. One that's not on here is a new car or new to you car buyers. So like in your dealership, you obviously sell cars, both used cars and new cars. People that buy new and used cars, studies show on average, 80% of people that buy a new or used car will buy an accessory for that car within the first 90 days of purchase. So a great way to capture more revenue from your online parts and accessory business is to take those list of new car buyers or used car buyers, funnel them into an email campaign and push emails to them to get them to come back and buy those parts or accessories from you, as opposed to going somewhere else in the market to find those things. Metrics to note in email, obviously, you're looking at things like your open rate, your click-through rate. And then we also recommend, like with any types of emails you use tagging. So you can tag the links in your email. So when they actually go to the site and make the purchase, you can see which email that purchase came through. So you can, calculate the effectiveness from a cost perspective of the email campaigns you're running. Top tip that's in here I see at the bottom is just use good subject lines. So don't use boring subject lines. People's inboxes get flooded with emails, so the better your subject line, the more likely you are to capture their attention, the more likely they are to open the email. Josh, anything you want to add there?
I think with email marketing, similar to SEO, it's a channel that also grows over time because it's dependent on the list size you start with. So kind of the early months, you're just gaining new customers. The list size really isn't there to reach out to. But just kind of having these things in place, it is just another channel that you don't really directly have to pay for. And the larger that list is, the better overall results you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, I think that's a key. Like it's like on the paid ad side, like you're paying for each customer. On the email marketing side, these are mostly customers you already have that you're just constantly marketing to. So if you do want to run a promotion, like you can run a promotion and get an additional purchase, and oftentimes for a lot less than the cost of a new customer acquisition. I think we see the average cost of customer acquisition on paid ads is 15 to 20 some dollars. So if you were to give 5% off, a purchase of $200, your cost of order acquisition in this instance would be half that of running a paid ads campaign. I got nothing else here. And this is kind of demonstrates what we were just talking about in email. So really like the value of the repeat customer. So if you look at the Revolution Parts platform overall, I think we did about $500 million in part sales on the platform in the last 12 months. About half of those orders were from repeat customers. So people coming back to the website to make a second purchase. So it's actually 54%. I underestimate a little bit here. But not only is it 54% of sales, return visitors on average spend more, about $70 more per order, and they convert at a much higher rate. So the return customer, converts at 2% versus a 1% clip. So, what are keys to getting repeat customers or getting the customers to come back? Obviously, all the email stuff we just talked about, staying top of mind, giving them, offers and specials and things to entice them to come back. But really, one of the keys is the consumer experience. on your website and the experience they have post parts purchase. Meaning when someone comes to your site, it's easy for them to find the part, the descriptions are great. And then when they order the part, you communicate with them, you ship rapidly. If there's any issues, you communicate the issues to the customer. So it's just important to give the consumer, that best experience possible. And by giving them that great experience, that's going to, help make them loyal to your brand as a part site and encourage them to come back and buy parts from you in the future. Josh, anything else there?
I think with the returning, we can kind of also tie it back to email as if they had a good experience, also reminding them where they had that good experience from. So it all kind of goes in tandem with each channel.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't talk a lot about too that's really important with the repeat customer that also leads into the new customer is the reviews. So we typically recommend that that people we do marketing for and anyone that uses the e-commerce platform in general also uses some sort of review software so you can capture customer reviews and use them on your site to help build trust. So when you're selling parts, you could set up an email campaign to go out to ask customers to give you a review. And then you can use those reviews to help drive future business.
And I did flip-flop on the top tip for this slide specifically. Another thing that I have seen successfully implemented, I don't know if you've ever received a package in the mail with a nice little leaflet handout, but if you are shipping out a package anyway, that is an easy place to put in a little flyer to ask for a review, to give a coupon for a future purchase, and just keep your brand name top of mind so that you can reactivate those customers at a future date.
Yeah, that's a great call out, Mel. So putting some sort of collateral in the box, some people will throw just stickers in there, and then people get stickers for the parts department and they stick them on the garage, or a lot of parts guys, me being a parts guy, like companies will put their brand name on the box and then you'll put your spare parts in the box and it will go up on the shelf in the garage and you'll have a bunch of your other parts buddies over and, you just see these names on the boxes or someone needs boxes to move and all of a sudden your parts box is a floating billboard kind of traveling all over the place. So there's a lot of great opportunities, to build your brand, post-purchase through, the reviews, stickers in the box, branding boxes, things of that nature. And they're really affordable, like things to do that really just kind of give it that extra little touch,
Absolutely. So we are moving into the final inning here. We've referenced a couple of tools and takeaways already throughout the presentation, but just to make it nice and easy when we do send this slide deck out, Josh is going to talk us through our digital tool starter pack.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. For any new web store, of course, you want analytics set up, and our Revolution platform makes that pretty easy to do. There's no additional scripting or coding. It's just get the account number, put it in, and you are set up and tracking all your analytics. So it's just a reminder to do that step one always, so that way you can measure your success. The other tools that we commonly use, at least for ads, the primary one is always going to be Google Ads. That's where most of the volume is online. Microsoft Ads. While less volume, we typically see similar conversion rates and similar returns, just less overall people. So once your budget is large enough, we always want to have a mix of both to just make sure we're covering all buyers. If you're interested on kind of trying a new experimental strategy, SEMrush is a good tool to use just to see what your competitors are doing, but then also do some analysis on I want to do a special campaign on 5th gen RAM parts. What does that traffic volume look like? So we can use tools like that. The top ones there listed, MailChimp, GMass, Campaign Monitor. Those are all email marketing tools. So you just can easily export your list, put it into those tools and start building out your email campaigns.
And I do want to mention some of these are free. So if you want to test out mail merging or email marketing with GMass or MailChimp, you can start small. If you love it, you can always add more funding to it in the future. And then for those UTM builders, those were the tracking mechanisms Mike mentioned earlier. UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module, I believe. Yeah, Urchin Tracking Module. This just allows you to attribute where your website traffic came from. So if you've ran 5 different campaigns, it's important to attribute which one was the most successful so that you can replicate that and learn from it in the future. Alrighty, so we will go ahead and bump over. We have one more poll we will post. I know most of you here today, it sounds like we have a good mix, about a 50-50 split for those that are currently using marketing and those that are not. I did want to provide an opportunity for everyone to raise your hand if you would like to learn more. If you are not an existing Revolution Parts customer and you'd like to learn a little bit more about the Revolution Parts web store plus marketing, go ahead and select that first option. We are happy to set up some time for a custom one-on-one demo and walk through some of your dealership's goals, what web store plus marketing would look like for you. If you are and you don't have marketing yet and you'd like to learn more, go ahead and select that second option. I will schedule some time for you with your CSM to talk through what that would look like for you. Third option there, if you already use marketing, you're loving it, you're wanting to grow your business some more, go ahead and select that third option. I will also use that to set up some time, custom one-on-one time with your CSM to walk through what your current ad spend is and what you'd like to investigate for the future. It looks like we've got almost everybody answered. I'll leave it up for about 20 more seconds and then we will dive into that Q&A. We did have some great questions already roll in. I'll leave that up just for a second. Mike and Josh, we'll get started with the Q&A. First question that I did have was about Revolution Parts Marketing Agency. What results do customers using our agency typically see? And can you walk us through what some of those stats that we look like, the metrics we look at are?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that one. So basically, the results that our marketing agency typically sees once they sign up with us compared to a store that does not have marketing is essentially just overall. Of course, we're going to see more. Basically, the more effort you put in, the more that you're going to get out of it. Transactions are up 86%. Parts revenue as a whole is 50% more than a store without marketing. And then basically our total return on marketing spend that we average to see is a 10x return. What I mentioned also is organic sessions are usually up 60%, as well as organic impressions. So having that marketing agency essentially enhancing your store is also not only helping on the paid side, overall volume, but also helping with your organic success over time.
Thank you. Next question that came in, let's say I'm brand new to marketing. I just started marketing either with Revolution Parts marketing service or just on my own. How quickly should I expect to see results from my marketing campaign? When will I see the fruits of my labor?
Yeah, so I'll kind of do it in a little bit of blocks on kind of where we want to start a campaign. Essentially, any new campaign that we start, we always set a 90-day kind of average goal as the ramp up time it takes to learn a store, kind of what's unique about that store, what pricing, shipping, what that has been negotiated at. Those are all kind of unique. So on average, we see 90 days to hit our return on ad spend numbers that we see per brand. So that's that kind of 10x goals. We expect it to see that at 90 days. For a 6-month goal, depending on budget, I usually like to make that the goal for the reaching a Google seller rating. To really get that rating, on average, we need to see a budget of $3,000 in ad spend. And that's just because Google requires so many reviews within a time period to be made. So that's why that's kind of focused more on those high ones. But once you have that seller rating, that's kind of where we can really help escalate how organic does in that 6 to 12 month area, because now you are a trusted store. You've had more time to add more unique parts and changes to your site. And that's kind of the 6 to 12 month journey is what we're looking for organic.
Beautiful. We had a couple similar questions roll in, so I'm going to kind of lump these in together. Some folks were curious, if I have never done marketing before, I'm a total newbie, where is a good place to get started? Also, more specifically, outside of enrolling in our marketing service or another agency service, what are some of the lowest hanging fruit for increasing traffic and conversions and getting some success running with marketing campaigns internally?
I could take that one or start it. So I think some of the lowest hanging fruit is if you have existing customers in your dealership that are buying cars, email marketing to them on the accessory side. That's a pretty low hanging fruit. You already have the customers, you have the relationship there. You can go after them, pretty aggressively. I think another opportunity, depending on your setup, is using PayPal as a payment gateway. We find that dealers that have PayPal as a payment gateway have a pretty, have a higher conversion rate than those that don't. Also, make sure you enable the PayPal Pay in 4 option, so consumers have the option of buying the parts and then paying PayPal in 4 payments, but you get the, the payment up front. That helps improve conversion rates pretty significantly. Those are probably like a few of the big things. Free shipping can be a big one. Like, if you do a free shipping promotion over a certain dollar value, over $200, that can help, improve conversions on your site. But in terms of like driving traffic, the easiest way to drive the traffic is if you have existing customers. So if you can do emails to your existing base, or if you can take your existing dealer site that has traffic to a parts page and link that to your park site and capture that traffic and move it over. Josh, anything I missed?
Yeah, I think on that one to get started, I would just add to taking the time to kind of customize the site to make it a little bit more unique to you. One of the simplest ways is one, when you first launch a store, update your featured products with one, maybe either what's most popular or something new that's coming out that you're aware of, making sure that's changed. We usually actually recommend that as an easy SEO thing that you can do is always just update those featured products once every month. So that way there's always something new and fresh on the site changing.
I'll add one last thing too. I think within marketing, you have 2 best friends, and that is testing and tracking. Anything you do, you want to test, compare to other things you've done. If you don't have a tracking system you use, you can definitely use Google Sheets for free. You can have everything live in there. Those mail merge tools we mentioned, such as MailChimp, or my personal favorite is Gmass, those do allow you to see within Gmail exactly how many people have opened your emails, what they clicked, and when they clicked. You can just export all of that, put it in a sheet, and just keep track of how you're doing moving forward. Next question that rolled in, as a customer marketer, I love this kind of question. What resources do you use for reviews? I have wanted to add this to our website, but haven't quite figured out what the secret sauce is or what the best way to go about that is.
I can take this one, I guess. So we use a service called Yotpo. So that integrates with the Revolution Parts platform. So that's what I'd recommend you use. You can use other review tools, but that's just the one we happen to use.
Yeah, and Yotpo, to add to that, is a approved partner with the Google Seller Ratings, so any reviews through there is where we want to have them made. They also have the benefit of doing product-specific reviews as well as general site reviews, and we can split basically the percentage of which one we're getting for both. So not only are we enhancing your product-specific pages, but the site as a whole.
Next question, we had a few questions around this as well, actually, honing in on ad spend. I think we alluded to this earlier, but didn't clearly outline it in the slides. How much should I spend on ads, and why? Is there a magic number that I should be aiming for, or not?
Yeah, I think the first thing to consider when picking a budget, of course, what is the end goal at the end of the day? Is there any manufacturer goals that this channel could help obtain? So let's say if that's for 30,000 a month additional that you need, then we'd plan on a $3,000 ad budget with a 10x return. So it's really dependent on that. And then the second part too is how many orders can you handle essentially with a 1,500 recommended and average budget. That's where we usually see about 50 orders from paid sales a month. So that kind of gives you an idea of the volume that's going to be coming into. So you want to make sure that too, if you set a really high budget, that you can handle the volume that comes with that. So kind of both those are in play, and those will also determine strategy. If let's say you have a high manufacturer goal and you want to really move volume quickly, we can also do some pricing strategy to make that happen. Maybe be even a little bit more competitive on pricing to make up for that volume. So it's really dependent on the goal at the end of the day.
Ooh, we've got an email marketing specific question. What is a good email open rate that I should be aiming for with my email marketing campaigns?
100%.
If only.
Just kidding. 20% is usually pretty standard. If they're existing customers, a lot of times that will go higher, but 20% is a pretty good baseline.
My favorite question of the day. We were actually joking about this earlier. Are you owned by Mercedes now because of the logo on their shirts? I'll have you know, I don't have the logo on, so I am not owned by Mercedes. How about you, Mike and Josh? Why are you wearing Mercedes shirts today?
They sent me a free car.
I didn't get a free car.
We're not owned by Mercedes, I wish.
Yeah, just representing our national program.
Yeah, it was one of our
and I've driven this GTR, so it's fun.
Oh, all right. This is a fun question. We didn't really touch on this. I have heard another term thrown around, and that is SEM. What is the difference between SEO and SEM? And does it matter?
Yeah, so for SEM, that's search engine marketing. So when we were talking about paying for advertising, that's essentially the equal as search engine marketing is paid advertising. Anything that you do that you have to pay for is that. SEO is, of course, Google's controlled ranking system, and that's all the organic results that we talked about today.
Perfect, and that was actually our last question today. So I will give our audience just another minute or so. If there is anything else pressing on the top of your mind, go ahead and throw that into the GoToWebinar question panel now. And never fear, if you do think of another question after the webinar, feel free to just reply to that registration email you got. That will come directly to me, and I will make sure we get an answer over to you. We will also share a recap of what we covered today along with the recording by email before the week's end. And I will be sure to share some more fun marketing content. I will make sure I get over our fun marketing toolkit over to you with some more ooey gooey resources. And if at any time you have a question on marketing, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are always happy to help. And it looks like no more questions. So with that, we will go ahead and wrap up. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was absolutely a pleasure to walk you through some of the ins and outs of parts marketing. Again, I am Mel Smith. Our hosts today were Mike and Josh. Thank you so much again. If you did express interest in learning a little bit more about Revolution Parts or our marketing services, we will reach out to you very shortly. We hope you have a lovely rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Yes.